Welcome back everybody to the Waste SMP. Today we're getting started in our base that we were working on last time. Behind me you can see the big build that was all completed, and we've got a lot more that we're going to need to do today. The server is wrapping up. We're just about ready to get started with the last week, so we don't have a lot of time, and I think I have just the right amount of projects to be able to finish up. I'm pretty happy with how this base has come together. There are a lot of different things that... Whoa, what do we have over here? We've got some signs. Let's see. Great structure, 10 out of 10. So far, so good. However, I don't like that word. You are being written up for unleashed bats. Roaming plant. Unsafe, illegal. 10-minute timer. I'm not able to control the bats. Oh, dear. This isn't good. Well, hopefully the punishment isn't too bad for having the bats around here. I don't actually seem to see any, though. Maybe we're all good. As I was saying, there are a lot of things that we are going to need to do today to get everything wrapped up. The first thing that we got to work on is extending this road up behind our power station here. And I think that this is the natural spot to take the road, to have it go up here. Now, one thing we do need to think about is I actually think we want the road to extend over this way. Yeah, I don't think we want it to go directly behind the power plant, but to have it go this direction, we are going to need to do something about this terrain because this is too steep, obviously, for a road to go. But I think once we get the road up to this point, that would be pretty good. And then what we can do is go all the way up over to here. And I want to build some stuff up on this mountaintop right here. Because what I'm thinking is that the waste is a pretty dangerous place, and we need to have some defenses to be able to protect our robots down below. I also want to add some things into this space right here. I think that that would be a nice area to do a little bit more building as well. So I think we're going to start with the terraforming up on the mountain. We do have quite a bit of sandstone in here and some sand. I've also got this shulker box, which has a lot of sand in here as well. We've also got some sandstone too. Hopefully that should be enough for the terraforming. We're not going to be doing a lot. We just need to be able to extend the road. So I think what we're going to want to do is start creating a little bit of a ledge with the sandstone, and then we're going to build up that ledge away from this gradually, making sure that we don't have any of this falling sand as well. And I don't really have a plan here. We're just going to test this out and see what we can come up with. The one tricky part is that we don't really know how this is going to look. So it could be awful or it could be really good. We're just not going to know until it's all the way done. But what I'm trying to do is using some of this sand to be able to build up the next layer. And then I go a few blocks out with the sandstone a little bit at a time. And we should end up with a platform that just gradually branches away from the wall. There is something nice though about building without a plan, that you can just kind of get into a state of placing in blocks and just seeing what works. Okay, but I think we just about have things wide enough. Let's drop down and see what it looks like from the bottom. This is the real test here. It's not horrible. I do think we're going to need to extend some of the parts of it down though. Yeah, I think if we extend it down a little bit, we want this part to be a little bit steeper of an incline as it branches from the wall up into the platform that we've just built. So this is the part that I just added in. This is how it looked before, and I think this is much better. This is exactly what we're looking for. Now, what if we were to do something like a natural looking arch here? That might actually look pretty good. We might have to roughen it up a little bit, but that's about the idea of what we're looking for. All right, I'm thinking that the bottom section is just about done, but we do need to make this a bit thicker because right now this looks pretty thin and like it couldn't support very much weight. And I want to get it to the point where it looks like it can hold one of our big robots over there. So we need to make it a little bit thicker. All right, I think that's a pretty good shape and a pretty good thickness as well. Although I don't like this block over here. We need to get that fixed up. I've been taking a look at what we're going to be doing up here. And I think what we're going to have is the road come up and around through here. It's going to follow this curve where we've got the stone right here and go all the way through this area, wrap around, and end up over here. I think that should work. Does mean we're going to have to do a lot more digging than what I thought though, because we have to shave off this part of the hill. We've got to make sure that we have a nice gentle slope that goes all the way around. So I think we've just about got everything all terraformed to where I want it. We've got the road coming up and then turning this corner and going up there. We've got a little platform where we're going to build something in a little bit. If we go up the road, you can see it just curves around until we get up to the top. And then we've got a platform right here. and then the road comes back around, and then it makes another turn here. We've got another platform that we were building, and then finally, we've got the road coming all the way over to here. Or the road's going to come over to here once we get the road built. Before we can start building though, we're going to need to get a few things together. While we need a lot of different types of blocks, the total amount of blocks that we have to collect is actually not going to be too bad. If we go down here, we can check what we've got in our storage system. Blackstone, we're doing okay. I think on wood, we've got a few that we're going to need. For copper, we're pretty close to the amount that we need. Stone, we need some more. Deep slate, we need some more. Tuft, cobblestone, andesite, we need a lot more of those. We need a lot more of the mud, and we need a lot more iron ore as well. So let's get to work collecting everything up. In these shulker boxes, we now have all of the materials collected up and ready to go for the projects that we're going to be working on today. So let's go ahead and collect these up, and we're going to go out. Now, one thing that I did do while I was collecting up the materials was I had a stream, and we did a little bit of work on that stream. So you can see over here where we are going to be putting in the road. The road is now all installed and it's looking very nice here. We've got all of the short grass. We've got our leaf litter. We've got all of the different blocks, and it's much easier to climb up this mountainside. And with that road installed, this area is looking much better. But that's not the only thing that we worked on during the stream. There was an idea that I had, and it's something that I've been thinking about for our base, and that's putting in some pipes that would be able to power all of the different systems around here. And this is a prototype of what we came up with. I think this is actually looking pretty good. We're not going to leave this here. Eventually we'll take this down and we'll put the pipes in where I actually want them to go. But I think this is a nice little system here between the copper blocks and the mud and the polished deep slate. And that'll be a project that we add in after we get our builds completed. But speaking of the build, since we have everything collected up and ready to go, you know what time it is. It's time to get started building. So let's get going. Our building is now all completed, and while I was working on the cannons, which you see behind me, I had a visit from Jake Kelton, and he had some ideas that we could do to make them a little bit more animated and interesting to look at. The first thing that Jake did was animate the cannons, and I really like how that turned out. It was just a great addition to it. But once he completed that, he also had another idea he wanted to try.
Lasering, fine. I'm overall happy with it. There's things that could be changed, but we have to change the design of the laser a bit more, and so this is good enough for me. I'm overall content with that. However, down here is where I'm starting to chew on things. So I added some steam vents for releasing of the heat that the lasers are generating, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the steam is only releasing a tiny portion of the total amount of steam that could be being released, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I was like, well, it wouldn't actually be terribly hard to, so let's say, for example, let me toss some stuff into here, right? You could also even send the signal slowly with a redstone torch in a reverse redstone torch signal, whatever. Anyway, and so you could actually offset each of the corners in terms of which ones are opening and which ones are closing. So they each have different bursts of smoke at different times, which would be really cool. It would also require completely tearing out a whole path under here, which would, and putting in all of the redstone wiring for that. But actually, now that I think about it, if it's just a redstone torch, so if this is firing into this, that's going to open it. Now, all I have to do is I'm going to go underneath you.
Yep.
All I have to do is send a signal into here to turn it off. So if I grab that and then grab that, that will close it. then
Yeah.
really all I have to do is flip-flop the signal that's going into there every now and then on a long repeater loop or comparator loop. Okay, so maybe that's
Yeah.
not that bad, actually. Not bad at all.
And there's plenty of room inside. You could
How
have it.
much redstone do you have?
I've got about, I think I've got 20 redstone blocks worth.
That should be plenty.
We got target blocks, little
Target
redstone
blocks.
dust, redstone
dust.
blocks. There's only 10.
Beautiful. That's fine. That should be plenty. Yeah, I think what I'm probably going to do is run a signal out here, a signal out here, and this will go to that other campfire over there. So this is our forever clock that's running.
Okay.
Which I also realized I didn't necessarily need target blocks. I just use target blocks a lot. So we kind of may have crafted those for no reason, but that's okay.
That's all right.
That's all right. And I think, let's see if they offset it at least a little bit. Yeah, so they're not all open at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, that looks good. Like it.
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Now we just need to do it 3 more times, or 2 more times, I guess.
Yeah. Easy.
Easy. So just 2 here. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. That'll be it.
All right. Do you want these back?
Sure. If I find something else to spend my 34 redstone dust on.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's so nice. A huge improvement.
Yeah, I hope that people don't sleep too late, so that way we can see it at night. Because I think that the copper bulbs at night would look really cool with the lasers.
Yeah. Should we put the little notice up? No sleeping.
No sleeping for anyone. No, it's all good. Because I gotta run. But
all right.
yeah, this was fun.
Thank you.
And you planned it extremely well to give a lot of space for redstone. So you're already thinking like a builder for redstone. I love it.
There you go. Yeah. Well, and it was tricky getting the right proportion because you wanted to be able to have enough room for detail, but not so big that it overwhelms everything else around it.
Exactly. Yeah. You did great. Good stuff.
Yeah. Well, you too. Thanks for the redstone. That was huge.
I'll catch you later.
All right. See ya. So thanks to Jake Hilton, not only do we have these cannons in place, but we've got some redstone that's been added to make them look even better. The last thing that we're going to work on, though, for this base area is the piping, because we talked about that before we started the building, and I want to go ahead and get that all installed. While I was working on the building, though, I had some thoughts about where we could put the pipes. So I know exactly where I want to put them. We just need to gather up the materials we need to build them. So I've got the mud, I've got the deep slate that we're going to be using for the main building blocks. Once we have it laid out, then we can get the copper to add in at the end. So what I'm thinking we're going to do is we're going to have the pipes come through this area here. Let's go ahead and take this section down first. And then we're going to head over here because I want the pipes to run through this section, and we're going to have them start out over by this wall right here. So I think this is going to be our starting point. What we probably want to do is get a little bit of the deep slate. This is going to go into this area, and we'll add in the copper around it. And then what we can do is start taking the mud and running it in a straight line through here. So we'll just go along placing in the mud, placing in the deep slate at each of these junctions, and where there's sand, we'll just have it go through because I think I want to have the sand sort of cover up certain parts of it to show that the sand is moving and interacting with our build here. So we have the pipes running all the way through. It goes through the sand here into the mountain here, and I think that's a good way to end it. Now, what I am debating is, let's see, I do think I have enough to do this, but I might want to be able to run some pipes over to our building over there. So let's add in a junction at this point. I think that would make sense. We'll have it go just like this, and we'll continue our pattern here. So I think something like that should be good. We've got our pipes all laid out now. Oh, we do need to go over and do a little bit of work on the center points here. There we go. That's better. And now it's time to add in the copper. So let's do a little bit of calculation on how much copper we're going to need. So we're going to need 6 trapdoors and 4 stairs for each of these pillars. There are a total of 35 pillars, which means that we are going to need a total of 210 trapdoors and 140 stairs, which sounds like a lot, but that's just a little over 2 stacks of stairs and 3 stacks of trapdoors. And we now have all of the copper blocks that we're going to need. Let's go ahead and start getting them added in. So we got the trapdoors, we got the stairs, we'll put more stairs, more trapdoors, and then more trapdoors. doors and even more trapdoors as well. There are a lot of trapdoors in this design. I think we are all finished with the pipes, but not only are we all finished with the pipes, that means that we are all finished with our base as well. And I am so happy with how this base has turned out. We first started out in this world about 30 days ago, and in those 30 days, we have made a ton of progress. And we've also done a lot of building. We started out with our simple little starter base right here. Then we expanded that to add in this building right here, which we used to house our mushrooms. We also added in this build, which was our honeycomb farm. And this farm was probably our most important farm because we had a lot of copper that we were using in all of our builds. Then we added in the robots, who were probably my favorite addition to the base. Once we had the infrastructure all in place, then we could get started with the main project for our season, and that's this build right here. There are so many great little details that were added in that I really like. I just liked the texturing that we came up with for this season. It was a combination of andesite stone, cobblestone, iron ore, packed mud bricks, and so much more. And then we had all of the builds that we did today, which include these 3 cannons up here, some more robots, this little piece of machinery, which is used to convert the shards into energy, our road expansion, the silo doors over here, which we didn't really get to take a look at yet, but I really like these. And these silo doors are intended to be something that would open up, and there's probably missiles underneath. Although if I'm being honest, there's actually nothing underneath because I didn't have time to build anything. And then finally, the pipes. Not only have we had a lot of fun with the different projects, it was also really great to be able to play on a server with a bunch of other people. I had so many great interactions, and I'm hoping there'll be another season so that way we can join in on it. For the conclusion of this season, we did a world tour going around looking at everyone's bases. I will be releasing that later, but I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. Thank you so much for joining me on this 30-day SMP. It was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed all of the projects that we worked on. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And until next time, see you later.